once again, Biden up. Why am I talking about Biden? Well, because a new book is coming out. Book. Look. Book of a crook, Joe Biden. All right. I mean, apparently there's a lot of scandals surrounding it, because there's all this talk now about maybe a potential third term for Trump, which is not going to happen. Democrats, once again, being hypocrites, bringing out Obama. But see, the Democrats, the reason why your brand sucks right now, and the reason why a lot of them are sweating bullets right now, the reason why a lot of them are panicking right now is because it's being revealed that Biden wasn't all in the head, wasn't all there. And, it's also looking at, especially the inside, on how the Democrats were looking at the 2024 election cycle, that they didn't really have a plan. Hell, even Barack Obama wasn't on board for Kamala. But yet he didn't lift a finger, but he left a finger against Bernie, who allowed it to happen.
Jonathan Allen's the author of Fight Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House. So, Jonathan, we never knew that Kamala really pressured Joe Biden to endorse her immediately. We always thought Joe kind of did the quick endorsement to kind of say screw you to the rest of the party. How did you find this out?
Yeah, it wasn't just a middle finger to Obama, what was going on there with Biden, but we talked to sources who were at the vice president's residence that day. We talked to sources who were around Joe Biden, and they had multiple phone calls that day. And so basically what happened, as you were saying before, Kamala Harris gets on the phone with Biden. He says, I'm going to get out. She says, are you sure? He says, yes. She says, are you going to endorse me? And he says, well, I support you, kid. And she goes, Joe, that's not an endorsement. I need your endorsement. His delegates are all free. Barack Obama wants an open convention. This is going to be a race to lock down the delegates. And Biden's like, well,
I hope you heard that. Barack Obama wanted an open convention. Obama, remember him? Folks, hopes and change. Remember that? So former President Barack Obama, reportedly advocated against Democrats nominating Vice President Kamala Harris in the wake of President Joe Biden dropping out of the 2024 election because Obama didn't think Harris could win, according to an upcoming book. Well, okay, hey, me and Obama could agree on something. Yeah, Kamala was weak, puny, insignificant. The 44th president reportedly argued for an open convention rather than anointing Harris as a nominee after Biden's shocking dropout. It wasn't shocking. No, the man's brain wasn't even there. It wasn't melting out of his ears. It didn't decide to go on vacation. That brain was vacant. A fly could fly into Biden's head and be like, hey, folks, there's nothing in there. Despite her having support from other Democrats, according to a reporter, Jonathan Allen, co-author of Fight Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House. So President Barack Obama absolutely did not think Joe Biden should continue, according to our sources, close to President Obama. And he also didn't want Kamala Harris to be the replacement for Biden. So who was it going to be, Obama? It wasn't going to be Bernie. He didn't think she was the best choice for Democrats, and he really worked behind the scenes for a long time to try to have a mini primary or an open convention or a mini primary leading to an open convention. Oh, Obama, don't you know that the Democrats rigged the primaries 2016, 2020, and 2024? Why? Because already right off the bat, as soon as Biden got out, everyone said, no, it's already settled. Biden's the nominee. Even though Marianne Williamson was running, Fat Tony, a.k.a. Jake Uger, you had Representative Dean Phillips, and, of course, RFK Jr. And what happened to all four of those candidates? Well, RFK Jr. just couldn't deal with it anymore because obviously it was stupid to run in a Democratic primary anyways. So he ran as an independent. Marianne Williamson dropped out, then went back in, dropped out again. Jake, he couldn't even run at all. And Dean Phillips, the less said, the better. I mean, come on, folks. It was a lackluster primary because we learned the lesson the last two primaries, 2016 and 2020, where Bernie Sanders, the nutless wonder, allowed the DNC to screw him over. So Obama, there wasn't going to be an open convention or mini primary. It was too little, too late. And yet every one of us in independent media that called it out, oh, we're the ones that vilified, but yet all the vote blue no matter who people, and I think we know who they are. These authoritative channels with the millions of subscribers and views said, oh, we got to support Biden. I mean, we got to support Kamala because Trump. Continuing on, Allen further revealed on that phone call with the Veep, on the very last day, Biden passed the baton to Harris. Obama refused to endorse her candidacy as the nominee. Of course, because Obama, I'll say this, at least he had a functioning brain, at least in that group, right? In one moment, he had set up a phone call with Congressman James Clyburn from South Carolina on the day that Joe Biden handed off the baton to Kamala Harris, and Obama had set a call with Clyburn for like 5:30 that afternoon. And Clyburn thought to himself, this guy's going to try to rope me into an open convention thing. I better get my endorsement to Harris out there fast. So this is a short convention because, yes, the DNC convention here in Chicago was all that great. But I want to point out something here. Obama really worked hard behind the scenes to make sure that Bernie Sanders was never going to be the nominee. Because remember, Bernie was that nutless wonder. I want to pull up this video here for everybody to see because we'll continue on with the rest of the video that we're seeing up there. Let's play this one.
John, give me the play-by-play of that conversation between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris when he tells her that he's dropping out of the race.
Biden calls Jim Clyburn, who's in South Carolina, I believe celebrating his birthday, and tells him and says, listen, I've got a statement. I'm going to get out. And he reads the statement and Clyburn goes, there's a problem with your statement. Biden's like, what is it? And he goes, you don't mention Kamala Harris. You're going to have to endorse her. And Biden says, well, yeah, I'm going to leave I'll eventually endorse her, but I'm going to leave my statement as is. And Clyburn's like freaking out. He's like, I don't know what to do. He wants to be able to endorse Kamala Harris himself immediately. He needs Biden to get out of the race before he can do that. He's got a 5:30 p.m. phone call set up with Barack Obama. He knows Obama's going to push him to support this, this contested primary open convention idea. And he wants to be able to tell Obama to go pound sand. So in order to do that, he has to have already endorsed Harris himself. So ultimately, that's what Clyburn does, and it's ultimately what Biden does. Biden puts out the first statement, then about half an hour later, he puts out the second statement, launching the Harris campaign's effort to lock down all these delegates. And then Clyburn gets on the phone with Obama at 5:30 p.m. and says, Mr. President, I have already endorsed Kamala Harris. You need to get behind the vice president. It has to be her. And then their phone call lasts less than a minute, helping foil Barack Obama's plans to have this.
God damn it, Joe. I told you not to do it. Don't endorse Kamala. She's stupid. Which, by the way, it took her campaign 45 days to put in policies. And whoever coded it, it still had Joe Biden 2024 in the code. I actually miss playing the game. Has Kamala uploaded policies yet? And it would still be nothing. But there was plenty of stuff to shop for at Kamala Harris's campaign website. At least they had the merch.
Open convention, like a wild day, never reported at the time that Harris was ready to launch that whip operation, never reported at the time that she had to beg Joe Biden to issue an endorsement the same day. If he doesn't do it, disaster for her.
I was always wondering what happened between that half hour. When we were all on our toes, what's going to happen? I actually recorded a podcast at that time and it was like, he can't just endorse her. He has to have it has to be a democratic process.
Yes, a democratic process. But I want to pull up this tab right here.
Maybe on Thursday I'll endorse you. By which point it would have been terrible for her. I think his incentive there was he thought he was going to take some sort of victory lap as a great patriot like George Washington, stepping aside. But he wanted that spotlight, and she's trying to impress upon him the need that she has for him to make this quick endorsement. So they get off the phone. It hasn't even happened yet. She writes up an endorsement statement, talks to him again, talks to his aides again. His aides talk to her aides. And finally, his team says, all right, we'll put out a second statement on the same day. But just really wild stuff here. And to the point that Obama wanted an open convention, Biden called Jim Clyburn, the congressman from South Carolina, very close to Biden, was very close to Obama while all this is going on. He says, I'm going to get out of the race, Jim. And he reads his statement and Clyburn goes, you're missing something. And Biden says, what am I missing? And Clyburn goes, an endorsement of Kamala Harris. And what Clyburn knew, because he had a 5:30 p.m. phone call scheduled with Obama, is that Obama was going to put pressure on Clyburn to do this open primary thing. And Clyburn was like, we got to get out there and get this locked down for Harris or Obama's going to mess it all up. One of dozens of news stories in this book. We talked to 150 sources in the Harris campaign, the Biden campaign, the Trump campaign. I want viewers to also know there's a ton here about what Donald Trump did right in this campaign and the people around him, Susie Wiles, Chris LaCivita, Jason Miller, et cetera. So really something for everybody.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And she had the need for speed. There's no doubt about that. Why does Michelle always come off as so like she can't be bothered? Like she was supposed to do this, I guess, video endorsement with her husband, Barack. And
that was never going to happen. Look, how many times we covered this on the show with the Democrats? They all knew that Kamala was a weak candidate. I mean, they didn't have a plan. You know, the Democrats, you guys could have avoided this if he actually did do an open primary. Of course, it would be nothing more than a stupid show. But I mean, Biden did say he was a one-term president. Not to say that this would have changed anything, because I think no matter what, Trump was going to secure the 2024 election. But there is the possibility we could rewind time, do YouTube rewind time, and look back and say, okay, Joe Biden comes before the stage. He tells everybody, hey, look, I said I was going to be a one-term president, and I'm stepping down, and I'm endorsing a full open primary. Now, of course, he would never say that, but if that possibility did happen, there could have been maybe somewhere in that, whole lineup, there could have been a candidate maybe that could have faced off against Donald Trump. Maybe so. But then again, it would have given Donald Trump political ammunition of saying that Biden was weak and was afraid to face him. But if the Democrats actually did invest in an open primary, maybe if they didn't rig it, maybe if they didn't, decide not to screw over voters and constantly screw over the progressive independent base, things could have been politically, maybe socially a little different. But yet the Democrats have never learned their lesson, because they always abuse their voters, which is why they lost so terribly on November 5th, in which the Democrats lost not only the White House, but the Senate and House as well. It was very clear, and Harlan's media was one of the few media outlets to say, hey, Trump can win. Okay? And everyone constantly said, oh, you're wrong. You're wrong. But nope. We were proven factually correct.
Like what? She didn't want to get her hair and makeup done? What was that all about?
Well, first of all, I think Michelle Obama does not love politics. She's really not somebody who wants to continue to be in this, but she's a huge figure in the Democratic Party, maybe one of the most popular figures. And there was a miscommunication here. Basically, the Biden/Harris campaign was hemorrhaging cash. The Biden donors had choked him off after that debate performance against President Trump, and they needed money. And Jen O'Malley Dillon, the campaign manager, thought, well, maybe we could turn this into some sort of viral moment, viral video, raise a whole lot of money. And she kind of, the Obama folks were like, well, we'll do a video, but we don't want to go on screen. The Harris folks were like, I don't understand why they won't just release a statement for us. And it turns out that this was a play for money. And you showed the clip before, such a cringy video.
Why did they need money? I thought they raised like over $2 billion.
Because that money went away. That money went to stupid podcasts. Why am I saying stupid podcasts? Because, there were a couple instances in which Kamala did a sit-down interview that were all controlled, by the way, where they actually gave one podcaster a set that it wasn't from her own studio. They flew her out, created a whole different set, and boom, interviewed Kamala in a controlled environment, not to mention paying off celebrities, stadiums. I mean, listen, stuff ain't cheap. It's not cheap. It ain't cheap at all. Stuff costs money.
Were they just giving it to Oprah?
Well, they ended up, no, they weren't just giving it to Oprah, but they did raise a ton of money. But there was that period after the debate where Biden's donors just choked him off completely. They just stopped giving. They couldn't fill a room to raise money for him at that point. And this was a huge problem. And it was the donors trying to get Biden to get out of the race. And what the Harris campaign, as they're taking over, what they're not sure of is whether that money's going to come back, if and when that money's going to come back. And so in that moment, they're trying to make payroll in August. They're trying to make sure that they have enough money to do that. As you know, they ended up raising exorbitant amounts of money, and it really didn't matter because President Trump had the winning message. Kamala Harris was not able to tell the public what she was going to do to deliver for them, or why she was uniquely suited to do it.
Well, I just want to see what Joe Biden looks like without makeup. I'm just curious. But
no, you don't. Don't put that image in my head. Why would you do that? Now that is violence. That is violence. But it once again confirms something that I and everyone else here kind of figured out, because me and Daniel, way back in 2020, we predicted that Joe Biden was going to be struggling in the 2024 election cycle should he run, and that Kamala was already a piss poor candidate. We've done numerous stories about how Kamala's approval rating was lower than Joe Biden's. I mean, my goodness, the fact that you have an approval rating lower tells me that you're one of the worst VPs in American history ever. And not to mention, she was hemorrhaging her staff. I mean, she just lacked the charisma, the charm, the power, the influence to do the right thing. So I want to be clear. Everybody, crystal clear. The Democrats knew that they were losing. As soon as Joe Biden embarrassed himself in front of Donald Trump in that first debate that they had in the 2024 election cycle, you even had Trump looking at Joe Biden and looking at the camera saying, hey, can you believe they put this guy up here? Hey, can you believe that they put this senile old man who's stuttering and stammering, who turns out was actually having a full-on mental decline, as it's been proven now? That there were good days and bad days to speak to Joe Biden? That you only had a limited window to speak to Joe Biden? Who was running the show? And then here comes Barack Obama. And this is part of Obama's legacy. Obama's legacy isn't his 8 years. It's the follow-up. It's like, of course, not only the damages that he did, but it's also Trump and Biden and Trump again. I mean, these last 12 years are truly the legacy of the 8 years of Obama. Obama caused the rise of Trump. Obama got embarrassed by Joe Biden. These last 12 years, Obama's been taking the L. No, not the CTA trains, but he's been literally taking the big L. Loser. Trying to fix it. And he couldn't have the charisma or charm or the gas. He lacked the gas to actually seize the day. I can't wait to read this book, actually. I want to find out more because I'm going to snicker and laugh to myself and think, where are my vote blue? No matter who trolls, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Because I remember all of them saying that, oh, Biden has it in the bag. And then, oh, Kamala has it in the bag. Because I remember a lot of channels, YouTubers, all in for the vote blue, no matter who, Democrats, all in for Biden and then Kamala. Notice how they've changed their tone. You know who I'm talking about. How they changed certain things, how they realized that, they were wrong about the last 4 years with Biden, how they were wrong with the entire election cycle. Notice how they've did the shifty shift, the change. Not so bold and confident, are you anymore?